Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jerry Cooper.
I'm Deborah Nelson. Thanks for joining us.
And Deborah, I had a kind of an interesting, as you know, and I think I've talked about it a little bit. I'm so very happy that the Navarre Pier has been, the Navarre Fishing Pier is back in place, so that as Deborah refers to it, a place so I can go and kill living animals. But I'm so happy about that, and I decided to go fishing the other day.
Yeah, and were there like 50 million other people who decided to do the same thing?
There was a fairly large crowd, but I had enjoyed my fishing day, and some of my family members had come down, and I was getting kind of hungry. I wanted to eat a hamburger at the shack there, and I'm walking back down the pier, and Gordon Gooden walked by me and didn't even speak.
Did he know it was you? Everybody knows that. Hard to miss.
So, you know, my tender little feelings was hurt, but I kept a stiff upper lip and went on and
Did you say hello to him?
Sat down to eat my meal with some of my family members, and this time he walked by me and he was only 2 feet away, and although he had sunglasses on, he gave me that very special smirk that he's well known for. And of course, in all fairness, I didn't speak with him either. The last time I spoke to him was when I voted against him in an election. So
you didn't actually say hello to him?
No.
Well,
but you would think that a former county commissioner would have taken the time to say hello to a very active community citizen.
Yeah.
You know, but my tender little feelings was hurt that he didn't have anything
to
say to me. Well, folks, obviously we talk a lot about dollars, your tax dollars. Recently in the state of Florida, for the universities in the state of Florida, the legislature quote unquote granted authority for the organizations of higher education to increase by 8%. That's what they suggested.
Well, actually 2 years ago they said they could start doing it. They capped it at 15% a year, but there was a not so subtle behind the scenes push on the university and on the government side to get up there as quickly as possible to the national median tuition rate, because they're right now considerably below the national average tuition rate. So they want to jack them up as quickly as possible.
The reason I bring this to your attention is that the University of West Florida, with a unanimous vote, decided to increase tuition 15% at one lick. Now, for those of you who have knowledge of it, the Bright Future Scholarship also along the way has been reduced and reduced and reduced by our learned legislators. And so the kids that were on Bright Future Scholarship, and then for the kids that are on Pell Grants, they get a limited amount of money. And now the University of West Florida, on a unanimous vote,
jacked them up.
15% increase starting this fall.
In the middle of a depression.
In the middle of what I would consider...
it's a depression.
We've had everything but mass food lines in this.
Give it time.
And we're potentially getting there. One of the blog entries that was associated with this story I felt was so correct. 1,000 paper cuts, you still bleed to death.
That's right.
And that's exactly what we got here, folks. We've got Gulf Power that's going to go up on your rates again, and your insurance is going to go up, and the city of Milton puts in red light cameras so they can pop you for $175 should you accidentally run a red light. And the food bill is higher, and the rent bill is higher, and the water bill is higher. And
what's happening is that they've outsourced everybody's job over a period of years, starting way back. But Clinton signed NAFTA, and we could start at that. They've outsourced everybody's job. They've crashed the economy. You know, we've seen what happened with Wall Street. And now what's happening is all these little agencies that that control necessities. You have to have water. You have to have electricity. Right. All these little agencies. Well, we don't want to lose any money.
They're going to make sure they get theirs.
We don't want to make cuts.
Right.
So they're just starting to get their pound of flesh from you, and pretty soon there's going to be nothing left.
Right. The interesting thing about the University of West Florida, and of course, and I hate to bore you with this, but I'm going to pound this into the ground too. I like football. That's fine. But the University of West Florida is also suggesting that if they bring football to the University of West Florida, each and every student that attends is going to have to pay $150 per semester to make that happen.
Unbelievable.
So a 15% increase in your tuition, and then if they manage to push the football through, another $150. And my question is, and of course this is the approach that I take with everything, I haven't seen the news story about what costs we've reduced at University of West Florida to keep this from happening.
Right.
I haven't seen the story about we're going to have 12 less pickup trucks or 12 less vans, or we're going to set forth an energy policy to reduce our energy consumption. I haven't seen the story about a reduction of paid sabbaticals for professors, and I don't see anybody giving here except for mom and dad and the students that are out there having to work 30 and 40 hours a week to gather up enough money to go to school to try to better themselves. Now, the America that I grew up in, I think education was very, very important.
Yeah. It's a cornerstone.
What we're doing now is we are running the prices so high that we're not going to be able to. There's going to be many students at this absolutely. There's kids right now that can't go to college, but because they don't have the money to go to college.
Well, they're forced to join the military
at the current rate.
Yeah.
When we go 15% higher, and then potentially the $150 a semester in case there's a football team, you're going to throw a bunch more out. Now, Collier Merrill, our good friend and multimillionaire and former head of an agency that we discuss a lot here, Rebuild Northwest Florida, he says certainly it's going to put some of the students in a pinch, but we just have to do it.
It's not my problem.
Yeah, we just have to do it.
Yeah.
Well, folks, one thing I hope you've learned about Deborah and I is when I decide to take something on, I take it on and I follow it all the way through. So as soon as I saw this story and I heard about this, and a public request of information has already been sent to the president of the University of West Florida, and I always believe you should start at salaries.
Yes.
I just think that's the right place
Absolutely.
to go. I will remind you that we did a previous show about the
salaries, and contracts.
And contracts and benefits.
Yeah.
I will remind you that the ECUA was constantly, the Escambia County Utilities Authority was constantly in the media doing all kind of stuff that aggravated people. But Santa Rosa Week TV requested and received a copy of all their salaries. Boy, you hadn't heard them do another thing. Okay,
and we'll do a show on that.
Yeah, because we have the salaries now, and let me assure you, for those of you who live in Escambia County, you're going to be offended when you see the salary list. Some of them
eye-watering.
Some over $100,000 a year.
It is eye-watering.
So
to fill a chair.
I'm going to take the same approach with UWF.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
One of the things that UWF has, and I'm very proud that they have it, most universities do. They have a student government.
Yes.
And I can go have a conversation with the Senate President and the House President, and hopefully I will get an opportunity to speak before them. But I have requested the salaries of every employee at the University of West Florida. I have also asked to see the benefits packages for every employee at the University of West Florida.
And then we're really going to want to see their outstanding contracts and how their bid process works, because that's the number. Actually, that's honestly, that's the root of all evil in Western government today. Is the contracting process. But salaries are important too.
Look, and I will tell you, without even looking at it, I won't be shocked, and you won't be shocked. No, but folks, you're going to be shocked when you see some of the salaries that are being handed. I don't even have to see the list yet. I know.
Yeah.
It'll be
considerably higher than the $24,000 median.
That's right. It'll be 5- and 6-digit numbers. Across the board.
Yeah.
And I think it's only fair.
And this is probably college professor I'm talking about. This is probably. It doesn't get much. Maybe movie stars a better job than that, but there's not too many jobs that are better than college professor.
Well, fair is fair, and from a personal standpoint, it's indicated to me that a lot of the students think Judy Benz is a good leader and all that kind of stuff. But it's not just Judy Benz. There's a board that looks over this thing, and for a group of well-heeled individuals. To think that a 15% increase is going to go unnoticed
in a depression,
I think they're wrong.
Yeah.
So
and it's something that's going on throughout Florida. Every public Florida college is pushing. In fact, this year, Florida wanted a 30% increase. They wanted to ask special permission of the legislature, because the cap is 15, to ask for a 30% increase. And Florida State wanted a high increase as well. They all want to go as quickly as they can to
the max.
Well, they want the average tuition rate in Florida to reflect the
U.S. rate,
the national average.
Well, and look, all I have to say about it, and
I can assure you, people's salaries and household incomes do not reflect that.
Right. It's it's nothing personal against UWF. It's just a matter of facts. Okay, well, I've requested the salaries to Judy Benz and whoever might be the quote unquote custodian of records at the University of West Florida. I sent that request on June 8th. You have 10 business days to respond to it, and I've just learned, as much as I want to be a nice guy on public records request, I have just learned it's a waste of time to try to be nice. So for all of you that have any interest in UWF, and if any of the management of UWF happens to see this show, you have until the 18th. And if I don't have the information that I've requested, I'm going straight to the state attorney's office, and I'm going to take it to the Office of Open Government, and I'm going to the Attorney General of the state of Florida. Just so we understand each other, I'm just saying. I've requested it. It would behoove you to furnish that documentation, and
I'm looking forward to it.
I think
because we're going to get it
at the time that all of those salaries are disseminated on a sheet of paper and one placed under every windshield wiper of every student at the University of West Florida. I have a feeling that we'll potentially have a come to Jesus meeting with the board of directors of the University of West Florida.
Well, and I can tell you for sure, as somebody with a liberal arts degree, with a graduate degree in the liberal arts, that there is just the line of people with a college PhD looking for a job out there is out the door, and it's down the block, and it's around the corner, and it's so far into the distance that you can't see the last person in line. There is no shortage of people who would be happy to take a lower salary to come live here and teach a relatively low class load undergraduate level teaching.
You know,
I mean, they don't have a major graduate program over there.
If the University of West Florida, any other university in the state of Florida, would have said, prove to me your need, first of all. You know, here's the thing I want to know. Prove to me you need a 15% increase. Is there anything to cut? Is there anything we can do without? Have we looked to streamline our operations? At the college level, quite honestly, there ought to be 250 students in a classroom, not 100. these are college students. They should be listening and
well, yeah, I mean, it's better to have a low.
Well, it is, but it's college.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be. They have to be responsible for themselves. And you know, I don't. Not one story, not one thing have I seen.
And they have no graduate. I mean, they have a couple of graduate degrees you can get over there, but it's not like they have heavy research going on. You know, major research going on there in a graduate department anywhere. It's not that kind of a service.
Well,
that they offer.
it just you know, look. Bottom line is justify the need, and so far I've not heard one justification of the need. All I've heard is football, 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 and $150 per student. And now out of the blue, here comes a 15% increase in tuition. And folks, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for all of us. All right. As soon as I get the list of the salaries, it's going on SantaRosaSpeaks.com. I want you all to take a look at it. I want you to disseminate it via email to all your friends. It's not right what we're doing to the youth of America. We are burdening many families with thousands into the tens of thousands into the hundreds of thousands for a college education.
It's worse than that.
It's ridiculous.
No, it's worse than that. It's what you have is now you have these people who are affiliated with these key services that you have to have, like electricity. Their kids are going to go to college. Everybody else's kids are going to have to join the military.
Yeah. You
know, and be shipped off to a war zone because they can't afford college.
It just, of course.
I mean, it's criminal in my opinion.
You know, it's like this. On my email, the email system that I use, over on the side I have many folders of many things that I've looked at. Well, a new one got started today. UWF.
Oh, good.
All right.
I already had one.
I sent my request for information. I hope my hope, and I put it in the email. My hope is that the university will honor my request.
Well, I mean, I think the thing to remember is you know, they exist to educate young people. Well, not always young people, but
yeah, but we've completely lost focus on all that. What we focus on is how can we, the members of management, squeeze more money out of the turnip.
Right. Exactly.
Even in K through 12.
Yeah.
Story after story after story is about stuff that has nothing to do with the better education of our children.
Yeah.
Now the same thing is occurring at the college level, and all I can say is, you know, shoot me the list. Let me know when I can come by and inspect it. We'll make a copy of it, and we'll
go from there.
We'll let everybody take a look at it, and then we'll have an open, honest discussion about whether or not you deserve a 15% increase at one time.
Yes.
You know, look, I have driven through the campus. Many beautiful buildings, many beautiful trees, the manicuring of the lawns. See a lot of white vehicles in there. You know, it just seems like we're not missing anything.
Yeah.
And this 15% increase, I haven't heard a word about, well, we need to build a, you know, $100,000 science building. I haven't heard that.
Right.
It's just, we want 15%.
Yeah.
And then we'll decide what we're going to do with it later. Well, prove to the need. One of the things about universities that has always concerned me is they become a little kingdom.
Yes, that's true.
You know, they get money from the legislature, and they go lobby for millions over there, and they dabble in politics. Yeah. And we've had a couple circumstances that Deborah and I have we put our foot down over quote unquote information that was coming out of the University of West Florida that was being used for political cover for someone else.
Well, we have found that when somebody contracts for a report from the Haas Center, let's just say you're going to get my my personal humble opinion is you're probably going to get what you pay for in the house center.
It's kind of like the $3.4 and the $3.2 million appraisal for the Pullen property.
It would be in that same vein, in my opinion. It would be in that same vein. Yeah.
You get what you pay for. Wink, wink.
It's amazing how often their reports jive with certain other special interests in this area.
Well, you know, look, to me, universities, they don't need to be political. They should not be using the computers, the property, their contacts in a community to drive something. They need to focus on the education of the kids that are there, making sure that they get a good education for a fair and reasonable price. And just because California charges $195 or $235 an hour for a college degree does not mean that the University of West Florida should charge the same.
Exactly. Well, it doesn't mean that's not what the Florida citizenry wants.
Right.
That's not what we've charged the legislature to charge them with.
Right, and this is another thing. If you haven't missed this, this is another failure of the legislature. This ridiculous thing here. What the legislature should be saying is hand out good degrees. Make sure the kids that are going through the universities have a valid degree, that it means something. But it shouldn't be gold-plated, 24-karat gold. And this, can you imagine? I don't know, what is it, 10? I'd have to take a shot at the number, but we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars that this 15% represents.
Yeah.
And I just have a real problem with it. And to use a phrase from my good friend Alan Isaacson, I've decided to bite on the bone, so you can go ahead and mark it down. I'm going to drag it out of the yard. It's important. The families in our community, the local people that are going to University of West Florida, are struggling to pay tuition, as it is.
Well, and that's the other thing, is there's really a push on statewide to get students from other states, which is fine. You know, that's fine. They pay more tuition and so on and so forth. But this is a service that primarily is something that we pay for as taxpayers out of our pockets because we want our kids to have low-cost college available.
Yeah, but to add insult to injury in this, they're going to go up on tuition, but it's not going to affect out-of-state tuition. So,
well, because it's already high. Right, exactly.
Well, so, you know, it just... you know, this is something that I'm not going to let go, and we're going to dig at it.
Yeah.
You know, one person on a blog put on there, they said, "Oh, 15% increase, that's fine because I just got a 15% raise, so everything."
Oh yeah, they were joking, right? They were exactly.
Yeah, I mean a 15%. You know, I don't know what you're thinking, but here's the beauty of the state of Florida, folks. Universities spend public dollars, and I and Deborah, as a citizen in good standing in the state of Florida, can look at every single penny that is spent at University of West Florida, and I am free to publish that information once I gather it, and it can be discussed on this TV show, and it can go on SantaRosaSpeaks.com, and I am free in America to hand it out in a pamphlet form to anyone I choose to. And I will probably choose to do that.
I think we will choose to do that.
On another note, a good friend of ours, former commissioner, Santa Rosa County.
Yes.
President, CEO, COO, head muckety-muck of Santa Rosa Island Authority.
Yeah.
We just want to send out a congratulations.
Doing well for himself.
Yeah, we just want to send out a congratulations to Mr. Buckley. You know, Santa Rosa Island Authority saw fit to give him a 5% raise recently, and he's done such a fine job.
Apparently, with the oil spill,
they voted to give him an $11,000 bonus.
Yeah.
So he got a 10%, he got a 5% raise and a 10% bonus, and you know, Deborah and I are always looking for stories of hope
inspiration
in our community.
There are good paying jobs. Once again, it's a government job, but there are good paying jobs.
Yeah, and that's something we're constantly seeking out is pockets of good paying jobs.
Should we challenge our viewers to find a non-government good paying job and report back to us?
Maybe.
That's not a lawyer or a doctor.
I tell you what, folks. Here is the challenge. We challenge you to find us a good private sector, high paying job that is equal to or greater than any of the government employees that we have today.
And by private sector, that does government contractor does not count. That's the same thing.
Unbelievable. Well, we got a couple minutes left. There's two other issues that came forward this week. Santa Rosa County School Board.
Yeah, so a couple weeks ago.
Apparently, they were concerned about administrative equalization in pay.
They're suffering over there.
And so about $160,000 worth of raises were given out. And of course
during a depression when they've cut schools by 8%.
Yeah.
And they're firing 30, what is it, 30?
60.
60 teachers?
60 teachers, yeah. And then the other story to follow that one up, which, you know, you always want to make sure that you stay in the news media as much as possible.
Yeah.
They followed that one up with a story in the newspaper that where they're going to give out Apple iPads to all the administrators, starting at the teachers and above, will all get those. About, I don't know, another $50,000 is going to that. So it's, you know what I'd like to be able to do, Deborah?
Find out how many teachers that would have hired?
I would like to be able for us to be able to do a story about economic circumstances being so good in Santa Rosa County that we could do a story about a private corporation that came in, hired our employees, and gave everybody above median income pay.
Right, yeah, right.
In the private sector.
$11,000 bonus.
I guess one other thing we probably need to throw out there before we close out the show. You've probably seen some of it in the news media. We've kind of waited to see how it settles out here, but it looks like the Clearwire story is going to get pretty ugly before it gets better.
Yeah.
And
another
success story, I say sarcastically, with Team Santa Rosa. And so, you know, it appears that the additional 500 jobs are not coming. It also appears that the 500 jobs that we have is probably going to leave, and I hate it for the community.
It really doesn't work to hand them our money to hire people.
No, it does. No, it does not.
They take the money and run every time.
And the 12-year experiment of Team Santa Rosa needs to come to an end.